And we say good evening to you. Welcome aboard. We're live again, the Champion Chevrolet 5-Star Football Preview Show. I'm me, and he's him. He, of course, is our buddy. And let's get him on camera because he's the co-host of said show, our buddy Dave Angie. Ready to go here. Sorry for the glitch. It was one of those technical snafus again that I think I did again. I seem to do that a lot, and I apologize. But we're here ready to go, and we are setting on go inside the studio, the Cletus Green studio, inside the showroom at Champion Chevrolet. Our engineering extraordinaire, Cletus Green, designed this puppy behind us, and he's done a great job. And we're joined, of course, by the co-host of the show, our buddy Dave Angie, who his day job is the news and neighbor. And once a week comes over and hangs out with us here on the Champion Chevrolet 5-Star Football Preview Show. And good afternoon, sir. How you doing?
Oh, man, I'm fantastic. Just ready for some football again this week. Been a good start to the season. Just excited to jump into it.
Let's go back. Here's our lineup, by the way, tonight. We got a full slate of folks. We'll be talking to Doug Fritz coming up at the bottom of the hour, talking about the high school football preview show around the area, the big games this week. Of course, Dave's going to take a look at Region 1 6A, the Big East Conference. You've got the Science Hill Bearden game. You've got the Alcoa Dobbinsville game, among others. He'll talk to us about that. A couple teams have the week off, and so we'll run down that for you as well. Chris McCall will join us coming up in a little while from right here at Champion. He'll preview the Hokies and the Monarchs. Is that right, Old Dominion Monarchs, Old Dominion University?
Oh,
I think that's
sounds right.
I think that's the Monarchs, like a butterfly.
I'll tell you, I just that's one of those mascots I just don't know, and that's been the case with Tech after the big West Virginia game. You know, they've had some snoozers since then.
Delaware Blue Hens, I think so it was.
They did.
Now we got the Monarchs, but anyway, we'll have Chris preview that. David Carmichael will talk with Dave Angie about the Big 5 college football games of the week. He does a great job. He said, man, I've got some good ones this week, and they're good every week in college football, as Dave alluded to. Joe Avento will join us coming up in a little while talking about the ETSU Mercer preview. And then Kevin Harmon gives us an update on the Tennessee UMass game coming up Saturday at Neyland Stadium. And I don't know, did we pound the drum one more time what went wrong in the swamp, or has it been well documented what went wrong and we need to move on? What do you think?
I'll tell you, that seems like a dead horse that's been beaten a little bit this week. I've heard a lot of it. I'm sure everybody involved with that Tennessee program is looking forward to getting on to the Minutemen of UMass. I know that one.
Oh, yeah. Hit the bell. We got the bell.
There we go.
Hit the bell.
I'm on a roll now.
Minutemen and the Monarchs. There we go. By the way, since we were with you in the Tom Taylor Sports Show this afternoon, Nebraska has fired their athletic director, Sean Eichhorst. The school announcing the decision and released this afternoon. The chancellor says, quote, Sean has led Nebraska athletics in many positive ways, but those efforts have not translated into on-field performance. Our fans and our student athletes deserve leadership that drives the highest levels of competitiveness as well as excellence across all facets of Husker athletics. Came to Nebraska in 2012. He is owed, by the way, a $1.7 million check at the end of his contract in 2019. So he says, well, I'm deeply disappointed in the decision today. I'm grateful for the wonderful years that my family and I have spent in Nebraska. I am confident that the future is bright for Nebraska athletics. Growing impatient with the football and basketball programs, I think the Northern Illinois loss last Saturday in Lincoln, 21-17, kind of got everything going here.
You know, you got a coach there in Riley that just got an extension from this athletic director who got rid of Bo Pelini. And the thing about Pelini was, he wins 8-9 a year. They're very respectable, great football coach. They won a lot of games, and they decided he was just a little bit too salty for their taste. I'll tell you, he was a piece of work. Bo Pelini, he's not an easy guy to get along with, but I'll tell you this, he would have beaten Northern Illinois, I believe, last week. And that's something to where and a lot of people, and I've heard that this week, people that are pounding the drums for coaching changes, sometimes you got to be careful what you wish for, because who you're going to bring in and what are they going to do. And this is a case where they brought in a really nice guy to follow up Bo Pelini, and Riley right now just not getting the job done.
Well, yeah, and to back up what you're talking about, again, we're talking about buddy Dave Angie. His biggest move was to fire Bo Pelini after the 2014 season. Pelini, 67-27 over 7 seasons in Nebraska. Folks didn't like him because he was, as you said, salty and brash, but the guy was winning. So he hired Mike Riley to replace Pelini, and Riley's Nebraska teams have gone 16-13 in 2+ seasons. They're not happy in Lincoln. I can't imagine Tom Osborne being happy in Lincoln, but you get what you pay for, I guess. Mike Riley's a nice guy, but this guy, Pelini, was 67-27 in 7 seasons. What is that? 7-67 would be, 8 sevens, 9 sevens, 9 sevens are 63, so 9+ win season. So on a 12 game season, you're talking 9-3 typically in bowl appearances. So they didn't like him, but this guy is definitely under the gun. So is this kind of a chicken cowardly way to do things, get rid of the AD instead of the coach?
Well, that's. I think they know where the root of the problem is at. Because it's not just one decision. It's the decision, first of all, to get rid of the guy that's winning 9 games a year and bring in somebody else and give him an extension, because they're going to get rid of the coach. That's coming, but they're mad because they're going to have to really pony up and pay a buyout at this point. I don't know the particulars of that contract, but that's the way it works. You give an extension, it gets more expensive to get rid of somebody, especially if you do it right after. So, yeah, just a mess. It's a mess all around. And, Nebraska, this is what bothers me, because I think everybody around the country can agree what a great football place Nebraska is. What a great town there in Lincoln. Just the tradition. You don't want to see a team like that down. You don't want to see a team like that scuttling around. You want to see them come back up. Same thing with Texas. Those traditional powers are what makes college football what it is, and you want to see them kind of rise up. But they're going to need a new coach, I believe, to do that.
Speaking of money, Roger Goodell looks like he's going to get a contract extension to stay on as the commissioner of the National Football League. There's another story this afternoon. Old Roger said he's not making enough. Now he made $32 million in 2015. God bless him. $34 million in 2014. So he got $1 million. Actually took a pay cut. Went from 34 down to 32 million. I don't know how he's going to get to Food City and buy some weenie weenies and Pop Tarts, but he says he needs a contract extension. So he's been the commissioner since 2006. His current contract goes through 2020. So he would like to see a pay raise and an extension of his contract. Looks like that's going to happen. So is that a good move or a bad move for the NFL?
Right now, NFL, they're struggling. You look at the ratings, you look at a lot of things going on around the league. It's not the best time in terms of business. It's getting a little bit shaky, So it's hard to say what Goodell's role in that is. It's hard to tell what role of it is just kind of a change in society in terms of how people, watch stuff on television. The ratings are down a bit there, but it's hard to say where the blame lies there. The owners love him because, he goes out, he's kind of the bad guy. He'll go out and do the punishment and do all that stuff, and he takes all the heat. It doesn't really fall on the owners, and that's pretty much when you're commissioner, that's your job, and that's what he's doing, and I'm sure they're happy with his performance. The players, I think the Players Association's counting the days until they can redo their labor deal that gives the NFL just free reign to punish, players any way they see fit. We saw it with Tom Brady. We're going to see it with Ezekiel Elliott. He got to stay, the court order that's allowed him to play football. A lot of good that did him last week. He didn't have as good of a performance, but inevitably what's going to happen is a court's going to look at that and say, you players, you signed over the right to this guy to punish you any way he sees fit with no recourse. You just have to deal with it in your next labor negotiations, and that's what's going to happen. But I think Roger's going to get his extension, and we'll see where they go from here.
We're inside the studio, inside the showroom at Champion Chevrolet, where they've got the 2017's got to move them out of here and right off the chute, right out of the chute, I should say, right off the top, a 2017, excuse me, Impala LT. 22% off the sticker to walk in here and purchase a Impala LT, a 4-door 2017 model. Also, if you're looking for a Tahoe, they've got several 2017 still left. Again, saving over $3,300 on a 2017 Tahoe. And also moving out to Malibu's, one of those nameplates of Chevrolet, the 2017 Malibu LTs. You're going to save $5,500 as soon as you walk in and start taking a look and shopping around all the different models, different types of Malibu LTs they've got in stock with the different colors and the different bells and whistles. So you can check them out on the web at championjc.com or give us a call at 282-2121. So number one Chevy dealer in the state. Nobody sells more Chevys from Memphis to Mountain City or Mountain City to Memphis than Tim Copenhaver and Andy Dietrich and all the folks here at Champion Chevrolet. Pick and panel, there it is. We're going to give you the pick and panel coming up in a few minutes. Get a chance to win a $25 prize. First week's winner, Eugene Jeffers out of Greenville. 2 weeks ago, Tracy Clark from Kingsport. Last week, Tony Briggs with the Elizabethton Cyclone Touchdown Club. He lives in Watauga, Tennessee. He was our weekly number 3 winner. And so week number 4, you have until midnight tonight. Go to TomTaylorSports.com/football. We'll run down the games for you. So Dave, really and truly, all they got to do is sit back and listen to what you've got to say here in a few minutes, and it's going to work because we have the answer. We were 8 for 10 last week.
Yeah, we were, and I think we have been pretty much every week. We've been running about that clip right there, which is much better than I did in school. So, if they had football picking in school, Tom, I would have gone far in life. But
aced it.
They did not. So, yeah, just listen in, and you'll have a pretty good idea what's going to happen this weekend.
You got it. We'll do that coming up in just a few minutes. We'll take our first break, brought to you by Champion Chevrolet. Coming right back, we'll check in with Joe Avento The Buccaneers taking on the Mercer Bears coming to town, who gave Auburn all they wanted last week. So we'll get a preview of the Bucs and Mercer at home on Saturday here in Johnson City. We'll do that right after this break on the Champion Chevrolet 5-Star Football Preview. Blue Lizard Australian Sunscreen originated in Australia, where sunscreen standards are the strictest in the world. Although our products are now manufactured here in the U.S., we continue to adhere to the most stringent Australian standards to offer the best in broad-spectrum sun protection. Blue Lizard, the brand most recommended by pediatricians and dermatologists. Our smart bottle turns blue in the presence of UV rays, reminding you to cover up. You bring the sun, Blue Lizard brings the magic.
It's Chevy Truck Month, Take 2 at Champion Chevrolet on the Motor Mile in Johnson City. The savings and selection of over 600 new Chevys to choose from are at an all-time high. 1500 All-Star Crew, $11,000 off. 1715 All-Star Double Cab, $10,000 off. 18 Equinox LT, $5,000 off. 17 Traction Traverse, $5,000 off. Shop us online 24/7 and remember our Saturday parts and service hours. Champion Chevrolet on the Motor Mile in Johnson City, where we leave you asking, how do they do that?
At Bristol Orthotics and Prosthetics, they treat thousands of patients each year dealing with diabetes and its effects. Diabetes overtaking our nation and leaving a path of destruction behind. Through wound care, office visits, and preventive care, they see most of the patients after a problem arises. Using diabetic footwear such as shoes and inserts, a great way to prevent or prolong skin breakdown and amputation. At Bristol Orthotics and Prosthetics, they use only custom molds from patient mold inserts, which further ensure a great recovery, or better yet, prevents a wound from happening. They use custom molded shoes, bracing, custom inserts, and extra depth diabetic shoes to prevent wounds or other skin issues from beginning. Call today, 1-800-524-4447. 39 years, 6 locations, 1 family. Bristol Orthotics and Prosthetics, 1-800-524-4447.
Any day is a good day to get a tray from Chick-fil-A. Over 10 to choose from. Perfect for having the gang over to watch the big game, birthday parties, church get-togethers, backyard gatherings, everything from fruit trays to garden salad trays to nuggets and chicken strip trays. And for the sweet tooth, try the cinnamon cluster or chocolate chunk cookie tray. So you see, any day is a good day to get a tray from Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A at the Crossings in North Johnson City.
At FCA, we're touching millions one heart at a time. Since 1954, the Fellowship of Christian Athletes has been putting the heart and soul in sports by challenging athletes and coaches to impact the world for Jesus Christ. As the largest sports ministry in the world, FCA now reaches over 2 million people annually on the professional, college, high school, junior high, and youth levels. Through this shared passion for athletics and faith, lives are changed, one heart at a time. Learn more at fca.org.
Back on the Champion Chevrolet 5-Star Preview Show. We're live inside the studio, inside the showroom at Champion Chevrolet. Let's go to the phone. He's our buddy Joe Avento with the Johnson City Press. He brings us the ETSU preview each week. And good evening, my friend. How are you?
Great, Tom. Doing okay. How you doing?
It's fantastic. Thank you for checking in with us. And let's go back to last week. They almost pulled off a biggie, beating then the 13th-ranked Citadel Bulldogs. Give us a kind of a wrap-up of that ball game because the Bucs played very well.
Well, they did. We talked about it leading into that game. You asked me what I thought. I thought they had a chance. Not too many people gave them a chance. They played the option pretty well. The Citadel managed to get off 72 running plays, and that's just an obscene number. If you stop a team 65 times or 63 times and let them break 3, 7, or 8 or 9 times, that's going to just be hard to overcome, and that's how they beat you. They just wear you down. They pound you. They cut block you, and they scored on their last 4 possessions. ETSU had a 17-7 lead at one point, but eventually it just wore them down.
Yeah, 17-7, about 11:42 to play, if I remember correctly. But the Bulldogs grounded it out and won a game going away. So you talked to Coach Torbush in the post game. What did he take away from that football game, the head coach?
Well, he said, it's a good sign that they're playing these teams that blew them out previously close when that happens. But at the same time, everybody's acknowledging that simply coming close isn't good enough. Nobody's kicking off a football and starting a game with the hopes of staying close. They want to win, and they put themselves in position to have a chance to win that game. So I guess the next step in the natural progression of the program is to start winning those games. And here comes another week and another game, and this is their next chance. They're going to take that kind of an attitude. Coming close isn't good enough anymore.
Exactly. The Mercer Bears in town. We'll talk about them in a moment. Then the end of the month, wrap up next month at Furman. In October, Robert Morris at home at Western Carolina. Wofford at home, VMI at home in November. Then they'll wrap up the last two games at Sanford and at Chattanooga. Very, very tough schedule for the Buccaneers of East Tennessee State. Joe, before we preview Mercer, you told me you got some breaking news. What's going on?
Well, we've had a police report. ETSU is going to be missing two players on a Saturday. Cornerback Jeremy Lewis and receiver Andrew Hayward, both suspended for one game. They apparently, according to this police report, did not pay for a cab ride they took, and it was a $15 cab ride, and they didn't pay for it. And when the police tried to get them to pay for it, apparently they just didn't do it. So they are suspended for the Saturday game.
Now, are these guys starters? Are they key players? Are they reserves for East Tennessee State?
No, Jeremy Lewis is a starter at cornerback. He started 3 games last year as a freshman. And the other guy, Hayward, he's the guy that caught the first touchdown pass in the new stadium. He's not a starter, but he plays.
So both these guys are out this week because they took a cab ride and failed to pay the cabbie. So they're going to be a one-game suspension. Allegedly, yeah.
Yes.
Right. Interesting. So that does impact the team to a point. Let's preview the Mercer Bears. Again, a team that gave Auburn all they wanted. Let's give us the very latest on the Mercer Bears coming to town.
Well, Mercer's 1-2, and they lost by 1 point, 28-27 to Wofford. Wofford might be the best team in the Southern Conference. So that kind of tells you something right there. They were playing Auburn last week. They were losing 17-10, and they had stopped Auburn with a missed field goal, got the ball back with a chance to tie it, and what Coach Bobby Lamb said at that point, had their worst possession of the game and got off a bad punt on top of that. So then they ended up losing 24-10, but that's a pretty respectable score. We're talking about a top 15 team in the FBS.
And so the Mercer Bears come to town. What's their strength, Joe Vento? Is it offensive? They run the ball or throw the ball? What's their offensive scheme?
Well, if you look at the stats, they haven't run the ball very well against any of those teams, but playing against Wofford and Auburn, that kind of schedule will kind of hold you down. They're playing a redshirt freshman quarterback named Kalen Riley. He's got 6 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. And that's an encouraging fact for ETSU that they have a new quarterback. Because last year, their quarterback, John Russ, had a pretty good game. He threw 2 touchdown passes in the fourth quarter and helped Mercer beat ETSU 21-13. That was one of those games that last year at this point, ETSU coming close felt pretty good about themselves. They had Mercer down 13-7 in the fourth quarter and let it slip away. But that's the case. Like I said, this year they're not going to be happy to lose a close game. They need to start winning.
The keys this weekend or this Saturday for the Buccaneers to win and get ready to travel to Furman next week. What are the keys for the Bucs to win this game, do you think?
Well, they're having trouble flipping the field with the punting game. They're getting bad punts and they're covering them poorly. So it's a bad combination. So when they're punting from their own 15-yard line, they're averaging 30 yards net a punt, counting the kick and the coverage. The other team will start inside ETSU territory, and you just can't win that way when the other team's got to go 40 yards and you're constantly having to go 85. So that's the key. The field position is going to be a big key for ETSU, and the Bucs have not been able to run the ball too well lately to this point. I'm hoping that they'll be able to find a little bit of spark in the running game just to maybe take some pressure off the quarterback. Because like we say every week, Austin Herink is a very accurate passer when he has time, but it's hard for him to find those receivers when he's laying on his back.
The 12th man for East Tennessee State. Good crowd Saturday against the Citadel. And what are you hearing about ticket sales for this Saturday's game against Mercer?
Well, I saw a press release that talked about the Golden Knights, the U.S. Army parachute team, is coming, and the ticket manager actually put a thing on Facebook saying, get your tickets quick for this because they're going fast. So maybe they're getting close to a sellout. They were just a couple of hundred tickets away from the sellout last week. And during warm-ups before the Citadel game, we kind of thought maybe the magic was over already with the stadium because it looked like they were going to have about 3,000 people. There was nobody there. And then when the game started, it was full, and they had 7,500. I just think on a nice day like that, people want to stay out of their tailgate parties as long as they can and then come in and watch the game.
It's going to be
so
hot.
It looks like they're going to. Yep, go ahead.
I'm sorry. It's going to be hot on Saturday for sure. So you're looking for a good crowd. The U.S. Army Golden Knights, when they come to the fairground, usually come to the Appalachian Fair for 2 or 3 years, and it packs the place out. So that's going to be an added bonus to get to the ball game on Saturday. So with the warm weather and a home game, I feel like it'll be a pretty good crowd. What do you think?
Yeah, I think so. Plus, it's one that just on the surface, the fans think that the Bucks have a chance to win this one. So that ought to bring a few more people out.
Very good.
They did lose. Charting the scores against Mercer is a pretty good way to look at the progression of the program. 2 years ago, they lost 52-0 in Macon. ETSU did, and last year was 21-13. So strides have been made.
Absolutely. Joe Vento, awesome job, my friend, as always. Thank you for your time, and hey, we'll look forward to hearing from you again next week. All right.
Okay, Tom.
Yes, sir. Great job. Joe Vento again writing for the Johnson City Press, covering the Bucks. We'll be able to read his accounting of the game coming up again on Sunday, the Johnson City Press. By the way, just for kicks, let me tell you who's playing where. Mercer at East Tennessee State. Furman's going to be at Colgate this coming Saturday. Gardner-Webb will be at Wofford to battle Mike Ayers and his Terriers. VMI home in Lexington, Virginia against Chattanooga. And Western Carolina home in Callaway at Whitmire Stadium against the Sanford Bulldogs. So there's your Southern Conference schedule for this coming Saturday. We are ready for the picking panel. If you have not put in your pick, you should, because you have until midnight tonight. What in the world are you talking about? And we'll show you right here, and then we're going to get right into it, and we'll hit the boom. There it is. You can win $25, $25. Eugene Jeffers, Tracy Clark, Tony Briggs, the first 3 winners. You can enter now to win. TomTaylorSports.com/football. The games are there for you to choose, but we're going to go ahead and tell you because we have the answers, because we know exactly what we're talking about. We were 8 for 10 last week. Let's do the high school games first. Dave Onge, Alcoa at Dobbins Minute. Who do we like in this one?
I'll tell you this right now. DB had a week off, and normally when Graham Clark gets a week off to scheme against somebody, it's going to slow him down a little bit. But still, I'm a big fan of Alcoa in this game for the win. Because, you look at them, Maryville, still a formidable football team, and Alcoa was right in the ball game with them, 4-point loss there. I think they have enough firepower to get past Dobbins Bennett.
We're going to take Alcoa. Science Hill, Daniel Boone. I have seen the Hilltoppers. I've seen the Daniel Boone Trailblazers. As Barney told Andy one time, Andy, speed. So that was a very poor Barney imitation, but speed. I mean, what was Gilly, whatever his name was, and Andy Griffith. But he had that car and went fast, and he said, speed, Andy. So I'm thinking Science Hill was speed.
I think so, and I'm a fan of Boone. But, yeah, they're going to have a hard time stopping Science Hill this week. Almost pulled the upset last year, though. I'll say that for the Trailblazers. Up 14-0 at halftime of that game. I think Science Hill's going to be ready this year. I think they'll get the win. Science
Hill's going to be in a dogfight, and Daniel Boone out there, it's tough. I don't know if it's a homecoming or not, but it's going to be a tough game, and Boone always plays them tough. They play everybody tough, but again, when it's all said and done, we're going to take Science Hill to win that ball game. Elizabethton at Tennessee High at the Stone Castle. Last year it was a 51-21 smackdown by Elizabethton. 2 years ago, got down to the final play of the game at the Stone Castle. Cyclones have won the last 4 meetings. Do we like Tennessee High or Elizabethton?
We like Elizabethton. I think that it'll be closer than it was last year, but not as close as it was 2 years ago. Be right in the middle to win by about 2 touchdowns.
Right smack dab. Right down the middle.
Smack dab in the middle. Yes, sir.
Yeah, right down the middle.
Yep.
Andy, I could see Andy saying, or Barney saying, Andy, we're going to go right down the middle. Right down the middle.
There you go.
Unicoi County at Sullivan Central. The Cougars and the Blue Devils, two teams, kind of get their programs turned around. They've been in a kind of a down cycle for the last couple of years and starting to come up a little bit. Unicoi County or Central coming up tomorrow night?
I can't pick Central till I see it. You know, it's one of those things, I won't believe it till I see it. I got to see Central win a game. Just a lot going against them. I think Unicoi County has enough. They're going to get the win.
All right, we're picking all road teams so far. Tomorrow night up on the hill, Happy Valley ranked in the state, and they're having the rankings for the Happy Valley Warriors against the ranked team, the Cloudland Highlanders. How do you like this one coming up again tomorrow night up on the hill at Happy Valley?
And if you want to see some hitting, we talked about speed with that Science Hill game, but if you want to see some physical contact, go watch this one because Mike Lunsford's bringing those boys down from on top of Roan Mountain there, and that's going to be a physical football game. I think that Happy Valley, I've been really impressed with them this year with all the key components they lost off last year's team, and it's like they haven't missed a beat. You know, after seeing what they did to Hampton, I'm a believer they're going to put it to Cloudland this week. It's going to be a physical game, but I think Happy Valley has enough to get it done.
Happy Valley ranks 7th in the state in 2A football at 4-0. Cloudland ranks 7th in the state in 1A football at 4-0. We're taking the home team, is that correct?
We are taking Happy Valley.
Happy Valley. So there's your high school picks. You say, well, who should I pick? If you're out of state, in state, ride with us. We were 80% last week, so that may get you $25. Alcoa, Science Hill, Elizabeth, Unicoi County, and Happy Valley. We'll take a quick break. We'll come right back, and Dave Angie will check in with Doug Fritz, talk about some of these high school games we just mentioned, some other ones as well, as we're here live inside the showroom, inside the studio, inside the showroom, the Cletus Green engineered studio, inside the showroom at Champion Chevrolet. Quick break. We'll be right back. We'll talk to Doug Fritz about high school football games next year on the Champion Chevrolet 5-Star Football Preview.
At FCA, we're touching millions one heart at a time. Since 1954, the Fellowship of Christian Athletes has been putting the heart and soul in sports by challenging athletes and coaches to impact the world for Jesus Christ. As the largest sports ministry in the world, FCA now reaches over 2 million people annually on the professional, college, high school, junior high, and youth levels. Through this shared passion for athletics and faith, lives are changed, one heart at a time. Learn more at FCA.org.
It's Chevy Truck Month, Take 2 at Champion Chevrolet on the Motor Mile in Johnson City. The savings and selection of over 600 new Chevys to choose from are at an all-time high. 1500 All-Star Crew, $11,000 off. 1715 All-Star Double Cab, $10,000 off. 18 Equinox LT, $5,000 off. 17 Traction Traverse, $5,000 off. Shop us online 24/7 and remember our Saturday parts and service hours. Champion Chevrolet on the Motor Mile in Johnson City, where we leave you asking, how do they do that?
At American Import and Auto Repair in Johnson City, one of the 8 areas of your vehicle that takes constant continuing education is the air conditioner on your vehicle.
Well, you would think that AC would be a simple one, but it's getting to be a lot bigger than just AC. It's the management of the system, not just AC, but heat and everything. It's a lot more computer controlled than it used to be. It used to be just a little button on the dash that you pushed. Now there's all kinds of electronics involved in that. Braking systems used to be fairly simple. Now some of the newer vehicles you have to have a computer to actually operate the braking system to make sure that it's okay after you've worked on it. Computer controlled of the engine is becoming very important. There's a lot to that. Each one of these areas, the technology is just tripled and quadrupled in the last few years. It's hard to keep up. You really need to stay in the books and know what's going on with them.
American Import and Auto Repair, Johnson City, open 6 days a week. Call today at 913-3111.
From the driveways where your kids play basketball and ride their bicycles, to the parking lots at your local church or grocery store, Bracken Paving is an important part of many neighborhoods in our area. No matter how large or how small the job, Bracken strives for excellence in every service they provide. It's a foundation for a strong community. Discover the difference at Bracken Paving and Asphalt Maintenance. Give us a call or visit us online at brackenpaving.com.
Your life is always changing. You never know what shape it will take, or how your financial needs might change. But if we talk about your investments and how they can provide for you and your family, the future becomes clear. At Wells Fargo Advisors, we believe conversation leads to financial clarity. Let's start a conversation today.
Welcome back to the Champion Chevrolet 5-Star Football Preview. We're going to talk a little bit of high school football. A lot of good games around the area coming up this week. We've got Doug Fritz from the Johnson City Press on the phone. A very knowledgeable guy on all this stuff. Doug, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you, Dave?
Man, I'm fantastic. Just ready to look into some of this football here. Like I was saying, a lot of good games. We were talking just a minute ago about Cloudland Happy Valley. It's one of those ball games, of course, a couple ranked teams. 2 undefeated teams, a lot of excitement around this game. And, these are 2 physical teams, too, a lot of hard-hitting football. What do you expect out of that game coming up Friday night?
Well, I think, and I hope this doesn't sound bad towards Cloudland, because I look at both of these teams as being pretty good and pretty capable with the offensive side of the ball. But I don't look at Cloudland and think, well, there's a team who can really lock it down and shut down the other team. Yeah. And I think that's where the difference lies in this game, is that Cloudland, it's not like Cloudland lets you score points, but you're going to be able to score some points on Cloudland, whereas Happy Valley's probably going to get some. They may not get 3 and outs, but they're probably going to get some drive stoppers. And I think when you play that out over the course of the whole game, you got to figure Happy Valley's got a great chance of winning.
Yeah, you look at, I think what gives Cloudland a puncher's chance in this game is you look at Mike Lunsford, a guy calling plays, and just legendary, a guy that can come in. Maybe he doesn't have the talent going up against some teams, but he finds a way to get his players in a position where they can pick up yardage, make plays, especially in key situations. Just talk about him and the job he's done over the years.
Well, he adapts to whatever he has, and that's one of the trademarks of a good coach. It's not like he's got some system, and as long as he's got the athletes, and he's going to beat you, and if he doesn't have the athletes, it's questionable. He basically just takes what he has, works to their strengths, and he finds a way to make the kids play hard, and he's always got a good offensive scheme that, usually ground first and throw when you want to. And, that's why he's been so successful, is he just, sits down at the old drawing board and says, okay, boys, here's what we got and here's what we're going to do. And it's kind of that, he's kind of that tough, like you said, physical, kind of like just a legendary mountain coach, just what you would expect from a small school coach like Mike Lunsford. Has done a great job.
Yeah, absolutely. Always fun to watch those teams play. Pop a big play there. Should be fun to watch these 2 teams kind of tangle. We were talking about it. Very close game 2 years ago, kind of a blowout last season. I kind of feel like this game this year will kind of be somewhere in the middle. Just talk about what you expect to see out of Elizabeth and Tennessee High.
Well, if you looked at what happened with Tennessee High against Daniel Boone, and then you looked at what Elizabethton did to Daniel Boone in the first half, and you just stopped there, you'd come away with kind of an off impression of what this game should be. And but when you look at the second half of what Boone did against Elizabeth, and then you look at what Tennessee High did over the last 2 weeks, scoring 75 points and winning 2 games, and when you look at an athlete like Cortland Carter, who did some stuff against Elizabethton last year, even in that blowout loss, he was making plays, and so I think when you add this all up, I can't remember exactly what I picked on this game, but I think I picked a 1-score game, and it's not going to surprise me at all. I think, 31-24, I believe, is what I was looking at, and that's giving respect to Tennessee High. I realize that, because Elizabethton's got an excellent football team, but this is a good rivalry, and Tennessee High is not going to come in there and just lay down.
Yeah, definitely so. And you talk about it being a 1-score game, and that's very conceivable there, and that means margin for error is going to be pretty slim. What are the keys for Tennessee High in order for them to be able to get over the hump against a really good Elizabethton team?
Well, I think the first thing they need to do is they need to be able to handle Elizabethton's defensive line. I think when, with Cameron Coleman there, if you're having to pay so much attention to him that you can't do your normal things, or if you try and, go one-on-one with him and he's making plays in the backfield, Tennessee has got to be able to establish the line of scrimmage at least to the point where they can get things started. And I think if they're good enough up front to do that, I think that's where they stay in the game. So I think that's where it starts for them. And then I think they got to avoid the just not letting Elizabethton line up and hit a 50-yarder on and stuff. I know a lot of coaches say that, but watching Elizabeth, they're a big play waiting to happen. It's not so much that they're they've got this incredible speed and they can break it on any play. It's just that Corey Russell's such a shifty runner, and Ryan Wetzel's such an excellent ball skill receiver, and Carter Everett can throw it anywhere. I mean, so they can really strike, I mean, from just anywhere on the field. So Tennessee has got their hands full defensively against this Elizabethan offense.
Yeah, that's the one thing. It sounds almost like coach speak to say, limit the big plays, but so many games just come down to that, especially on the high school level, and they can be such momentum changers there. Looking at the next game on the schedule, I see a lot of big plays probably happening in this game, probably all for the same team. Looking at Hampton heading over to Crockett, there's years where Hampton has teams that can go over there and they can kind of hold their own maybe against a team like Crockett, but this seems like it's going to be a pretty tall task for the Bulldogs this year.
It does, and I hesitated when I first looked at that game. I thought, could Hampton pull this off? Yeah. And they just don't have any evidence that from what they've produced so far this year, they don't have any evidence that they can go out there and line up against a team like Crockett. And it's funny because 2, 3, 4 years ago, you would have never thought that about this matchup. I mean, it'd been the exact opposite. And Crockett's made such strides this year, and they're such a capable offensive team. And Hampton just doesn't seem to have the trench play this year that's going to allow them to compete against Crockett. So yeah, I'm not buying a 38-0 win for Crockett or something like that. I'm thinking Hampton's going to score some points. I just think Crockett, kind of like you said, there is going to score a whole lot more.
You kind of mentioned the change in, between these two teams, the change in perception, I guess, and that doesn't speak, I don't think, as much to that there's anything wrong at Hampton. I just think, obviously, they've graduated a lot of good players here in recent years, and that's kind of had a lot to do with what's going on this year. But I think it says a lot for Crockett and where they've come here in the first season under Gerald Sensabaugh. Like you mentioned, a lot of big playmakers, a lot of big-time players that are really starting to emerge with that program.
Well, I remember when I went over there for the media day, and one of the things that Gerald said was, he said that when he got to Jonesboro and got to Crockett, he expected to see a certain level of talent. And I'm paraphrasing what he said here. When he got there, he said he was surprised to see how much talent there was in that program, much more than he was expecting. And I think he was just like a teenager with a new vehicle. He's just like, wow, look what all I get to work with here. And I think he said, I read something the other day. I think it was something that Trey Williams had written that, he was talking about, how much he enjoys, calling plays and kind of being in control and that sort of thing and running the whole thing. But, Crockett's got talent. I mean, this just isn't a team that, and it's building. I mean, I don't know if it's going to play out or not, but it's building. This is a team that may have a chance to win a Region 1 5A championship. And wow, I mean, if that happens, Gerald may find himself the hot ticket somewhere else after this year.
Yeah, I'll tell you, doing great work over there in the thing. A lot of young players there as well. Going to hit some quick hitters here on a couple of these games. Give me your quick impressions there first on South Green at Chucky Doak.
Well, I think Chucky Doak's got the better team. I mean, they played a tough game against Johnson County, and South Green's been a little bit of a struggle after that early season opening win over Unicoi County. So I think Chucky Doak should be in good shape there, but county rivalry, we'll see what happens.
Of course, Sullivan North is heading over to Unaka. That's a tall task there for the Rangers.
And I think Unaka's at a point now, and with a new coach there, I think they want to be a team that's going to be able to put up 20, 25 points and not worry so much. North's probably going to get 50 at least. And Unaka wants to get into the 20s and kind of establish that, hey, we can get 20 points, even if it's at the end of the game. And once you do that enough, eventually you run up against somebody and you can beat them because, they're not that good offensively. So Unaka's not going to end their 12-game losing streak here, but got a chance to keep going with the points.
Another team kind of looking to turn the culture around is Sullivan Central. Obviously, a lot of struggles there. They have Unicoi County coming in this week. How do you see that one going?
I really like what Unicoi County's done defensively here in the past few weeks, shutting out Claiborne. And I like what Drew's doing there and getting this team focused for the league games, and they've been successful in the league games. And This one's a little tricky for Unicoi. Being on the road, Central having a 24-game losing streak, it's the kind of thing where Unicoi County's not good enough to say, they've lost 24 in a row, let's show up and play our JV and we'll beat them. That's not going to happen. So Unicoi's going to have to go out and play. And as long as they do that, they'll be fine.
Yeah, definitely could be an intriguing game there. If it gets close getting into the fourth quarter, though, people in Central will be pretty fired up. So, again, Doug, you are an expert. We appreciate having you on the show here. Everybody take a look at his stuff there in the Johnson City Press on Saturday. All the guys will be out covering stuff this week. It'll be interesting to see how it all shakes out. Appreciate your time, and good talking to you.
All right, Dave. Thank you.
Okay. Next up, we're going to have Andy Dietrich here, our buddy from Champion Chevrolet. He's going to come on in and chat with Tom here for a little while. First, we're going to call a timeout. We're going to take a knee here for a minute on the Champion Chevrolet 5-Star Football Preview.
At FCA, we're touching millions one heart at a time. Since 1954, the Fellowship of Christian Athletes has been putting the heart and soul in sports by challenging athletes and coaches to impact the world for Jesus Christ. As the largest sports ministry in the world, FCA now reaches over 2 million people annually on the professional, college, high school, junior high, and youth levels. Through this shared passion for athletics and faith, lives are changed, one heart at a time. Learn more at fca.org.
It's Chevy Truck Month, Take 2 at Champion Chevrolet on the Motor Mile in Johnson City. The savings and selection of over 600 new Chevys to choose from are at an all-time high. 1500 All-Star Crew, $11,000 off. 1715 All-Star Double Cab, $10,000 off. 18 Equinox LT, $5,000 off. 17 Traction Traverse, $5,000 off. Shop us online 24/7 and remember our Saturday parts and service hours. Champion Chevrolet on the Motor Mile in Johnson City, where we leave you asking, how do they do that?
At American Import and Auto Repair in Johnson City, one of the 8 areas of your vehicle that takes constant continuing education is the air conditioner on your vehicle.
Well, you would think that AC would be a simple one, but it's getting to be a lot bigger than just AC. It's the management of the system, not just AC, but heat and everything. It's a lot more computer controlled than it used to be. It used to be just a little button on the dash that you pushed. Now there's all kinds of electronics involved in that. Braking systems used to be fairly simple. Now, some of the newer vehicles, you have to have a computer to actually operate the braking system to make sure that it's okay after you've worked on it. Computer controlled of the engine is becoming very important. There's a lot to that. Each one of these areas, the technology is just tripled and quadrupled in the last few years. It's hard to keep up. You really need to stay in the books and know what's going on with them.
American Import and Auto Repair, Johnson City, open 6 days a week. Call today at 913-3111.
From the driveways where your kids play basketball and ride their bicycles, to the parking lots at your local church or grocery store, Bracken Paving is an important part of many neighborhoods in our area. No matter how large or how small the job, Bracken strives for excellence in every service they provide. It's a foundation for a strong community. Discover the difference at Bracken Paving and Asphalt Maintenance. Give us a call or visit us online at brackenpaving.com.
Your life is always changing. You never know what shape it will take, or how your financial needs might change. But if we talk about your investments and how they can provide for you and your family, the future becomes clear. At Wells Fargo Advisors, we believe conversation leads to financial clarity. Let's start a conversation today.
We're back on the Champion 5-Star Football Preview Show. There he is with the sun in his eye. He is glowing. He's been nuked. He's our buddy Andy Dietrich, the co-owner of Champion Chevrolet, and we always like coming over and hanging out at the Champion Chevrolet 5-Star Football Preview Show. Andy is giving away a pair of tickets right now to go see Tennessee and UMass. Now, here's the added catch to this. Elizabethton's band's going to be down and performing Saturday, the Pride of the Southland Band. If you want these tickets, call right now. These are a pair of tickets to the Saturday game against the UMass Minutemen. I'm going to go on record and say you're going to go down and watch Tennessee win big time. And so if you want to go to the game, buzz the dealership right now. First one calls in. 2121 282-2121. If you want to go to watch Tennessee play, all you got to do is call us. We got a pair of tickets. There's no strings attached. I don't even care to show you. Can I show them the price of the tickets? Yeah. Make a difference. $35 tickets. There they are. See? And there they are in section, whatever it is. I would be a terrible weatherman. So anyway, doesn't make a difference with the section because it's Tennessee football. If you call, you want to go, 282-2121. We got a pair of tickets for you to win right now. That's all you got to do. Buzz us. And so if you watch this show and tape delay later on this evening, it'll be too late, so you want to call now, 282-2121 to go see Tennessee and UMass. It should be a butt whooping, I would think.
Yeah, I hope so. If you call in, whoever answers the phone, just tell them it's the Tom Taylor show that you're calling about, and you want to be the winner for the 2 tickets, and tell them to see Andy downstairs in the showroom.
There you go. There you go. There you go. So 2017s are in. 2017s are going out. 2018s are in. Tell me what I want to take a look at. The Cruise, the Traverse. What I want to take a look at the 17s.
Well, the Traverses we've still got the old body style, which is the 2017. The 18s are now in, so we've got to make way for them because we've got a lot more on the way here. All 17 Traverses. Style, brand new, $5,000 off MSRP. Also, all 2018 Equinoxes. We're out of the old body style Equinoxes, so all we've got now, the 18 Equinoxes, all the LT versions of that are $5,000 off with all applicable rebates. Still got $12,000 off Crew Cab All Star 2017 Silverados. I've got $11,000 off 2017 Silverado 1500 Double Cab 4x4 All Stars. I've got almost 300 Silverados in stock, and if for some odd reason we don't have what you're looking for in anything in our inventory, we will go find it for you if it does exist.
Absolutely.
So we do have a ton of cars here. We've got over 650 new on the ground. I've got close to 150 used on the ground. We are getting shipments in daily on used cars. We're trading for used cars every single day. Local one-owner trade-ins. We don't hardly ever go to the auction to buy anything. So it is it's a great deal where you can find a used car out there you like. You feel more comfortable if you want to talk to the previous owner. We can ring them up and say, hey, can Joe call you, and you can tell them about your car, the history, service history, how well you took care of it, and so forth and so on. We can do that with our used car inventory. Most dealerships supplement their inventory by going to auction and buying vehicles to replenish and fulfill their used car inventory needs, but when they do that, you cannot talk to the previous owner. And a lot of times cars go to the auction because they may have a problem and the dealer cannot sell it for whatever reason or fix it for a certain reason.
Again, we are live inside the studio, inside the showroom at Champion Chevrolet. Coming up at the top of the hour, we're going to hear from Carmichael, the top 5 college football games of the week. Also, a little bit later on, Kevin Harmon previews the Tennessee UMass football game. We also got Chris McCall going to come down from upstairs and preview the Hokies and the Old Dominion University Monarchs coming up. So all that's going to be here between now and the top of the hour on the show, or not top of the hour. Kristen is not in the house today. She had a day off. We get those every now and then here at Champion Chevrolet.
She did not ask me. I just know that.
Oh, she asked TC?
No, I guess she asked David.
Yeah, David let her off, so she's got a day off and a little R&R. I would say her son's playing football. She may be getting ready. Well, that'd be tomorrow to go watch him play.
I think there are probably a lot of men upset that she's not on tonight.
There you go. Well, I'm upset because she's not on tonight, so because I like Kristen, but I'm glad Andy's here. So let's take him. Tim's gone, Kristen's gone. So who else? Chris upstairs. Who else will we use? Let's run out of options. Let's. Old Faithful, my man AD right here. Let's talk about. Every time I look at these, I keep thinking maybe I need one of these. These Colorado LT 4x4 pick-em-up trucks. Do I want that, or would I want to Traverse to haul my stuff around? What do you think?
The Colorado is considered a mid-size pickup truck, and it doesn't come in regular cab. It only comes in a double cab and a crew cab.
There you
If
go.
she wants to get all her information, tell them we'll have her have the tickets at the sales desk. Come by and get them.
There you go.
Winner.
Chicken dinner. There we go. Whoop, whoop. Can you hit the bell? How about that?
That went quick.
There you go. And it was a lady. Not that that's good. We have ladies like football and sports. So
Take her man to see the UT football game. She may be surprising him.
there you go. He may be, and she may be happy campers because they're going to go down to see UT and the Elizabethan Band, along with the Pride of the Southland Marching Band. So, Mitzi, wherever you are and whoever you are, your name's Mitzi. Congratulations. Traverse. Do I want to traverse for Colorado? I keep thinking.
I'm going to tell you tonight the Colorado.
Okay.
And the reason why is you can get it in 4 full door configuration and you've still got the bed. Let's say, well, hey, I still carry golf clubs and I have people ride with me. We can put like a cover. There's like 5 different covers that can go over the back of the bed that are lockable, water resistant, that you can stick luggage in there or your golf clubs, or if you just like me haul around junk for kids half the time, you can put it back in there, close it down, lock it, and when the car locks, the tailgate locks too. So you lock the top, so there's no way in there. And it also helps too. Let's say your child plays a lot of sports, football or soccer, and you know how stinky their socks and shin guards and shoulder pads stuff are. Throw that in the bed of the truck, and you're not going to smell it. But if you drive around in something else where they throw it in their car, imagine if something gets lost like that in your car, and you just go home, sleep overnight, get in your car, and it's still stuck in there. Woo!
Funky.
You're going to have to get out the Febreze.
So you've sold me a Colorado's way to go. You've got them marked down to the 2017s. Tell me about it.
Yes, we have. Right on this one, it's on the LTs. We've got $2,000 rebate, $2,000 discount for a total of $4,000 off. A new 2017 Colorado LT pickup 4x4, and that looks like it's in the picture a double cab. So it's a great truck. It's so much better looking and has more features than the last body style. They've hit it out of the park with this. I mean, it's loaded with technology. It's loaded with power. You can even get it with a diesel engine, a Duramax diesel engine. Get over 30 miles per gallon in a mid-size truck. I don't know where else you can get a 30 miles per gallon in a truck. And with that diesel motor, it has tons of torque and tons of horsepower. It's not a big engine, but that's what diesels do. They have lots of torque, lots of power, and this has it, so you can tow a lot more than normal things with it.
The knock on the old days was a truck rode hard and thumping and bumping, and it was a bumpy ride and wasn't very comfortable. That's not the case anymore.
No, it's I guess what you can say, yes, we still make work trucks, but they make a gentleman's truck or a lady's truck that comes loaded with everything from leather to air-conditioned seats to, if you're driving down the road and you get distracted for a minute, it's got assist feature in it that when it hits the line in the road, it'll actually steer back in the line. It's almost like it's a partially autonomous vehicle. So I mean, any kind of feature that we have on normal luxury cars, they put them on trucks now.
Here you go. In fact, the gentleman was just in there during the break looking for a brochure, and of course Jay took care of him on commercial vans.
Yes.
You guys sell those too?
Yeah, we have gotten over the 10 years, a little over 10 years we've been here, we've become more of a commercial dealer where we stock cargo vans, express vans, which are the big vans. Like you can get them, churches get them, put 15 passenger, 10 passenger, 12 passenger, or you can get cargo vans that don't have anything inside, and then you can put shelves or bins in them. You can put ladder racks on them for whatever your business needs. And then about 2 years ago, we started selling what is called the City Express, which is a smaller cargo van. And a lot of distributors of different products here in town have bought them from us because there's so many different ways that you can configure them, from the bins and the ladder racks and things like that. And so it's been very versatile. Sometimes, if you don't want to drive the big Express, but you still need a cargo van, get the City Express. It gets great gas mileage. It's easy to park. It's easy to drive. It's not big and bulky like the big cargo van is. So a lot. I've started to see more of them. These apartment complexes are popping up all over town. The maintenance people are buying them. Just to go, if something breaks in your apartment, they've got plumbing stuff in it. They got electrical in it. It's that market has sort of exploded here lately.
Here's what I find interesting, too. Again, we're talking to Andy Dietrich. Coming up, we're going to be talking to Carmichael, the top 5 college football games of the week. Also, Kevin Harmon will join us a little bit later on to preview the UT-UMass game. And we've also got Dave Onge back in a few minutes to kind of set the scene for the college football weekend, because there's a lot going on. But what I've noticed when I come and do the show on Thursdays, this is our 5th show in here. We're on the ground floor, the infancy, if you will, of this show. But we appreciate everybody's been watching, the comments we're getting. But when I'm here, Andy, at this time of the evening, a lot of folks getting off work, and they come in here, and the lot's got traffic on already, or not already, but as we speak, because folks come in here after work, and you're open to 8 o'clock, and they get a chance to come in here and buy a vehicle.
Yeah, what we do is we're open till 8 o'clock until the time changes, then we back it down to 7 because it gets pitch black. But it's interesting here in the late summer and early fall evenings when it's still pretty and still warm outside, our traffic picks up right around dinner time until we close. It's odd. Sometimes we'll sit in here and look at each other for a good part of the day, and then 5 o'clock rolls around, you got to hold on for dear life, and it gets busy. And right now, you're seeing that because the people here can't see it, but we're looking out over an empty showroom because all my salespeople are out here with customers on the lot. So it's a good problem.
It is a good problem to have. So if somebody comes in, Andy's going to jump up. Of course, we're about done anyway to take care, because that's just how we do things. And spring into action. And here's the beauty of this particular dealership. When you walk in, the co-owners of the dealership are sitting up front. They're not behind some 14 secretaries and 3 offices. The co-owners, Andy Dietrich and Tim Copenhaver, are right up front when you walk in the showroom.
Well,
and you do that by design.
We've done that since day one. We're accessible. We're easy to find. If you've got something good to tell us, you can find us. If you've got something bad you want us to help you with, we can find you. We can put out fires easily on most cases. And it's worked. And we hear this a lot we had this I'm not going to say a name, but this outfit was in today, and they had 3 gentlemen, and what they do is they provide a service for car dealers all over the country. And a couple of them have been in 400 to 500 dealers, and they told us this morning when they met with Tim and I that this is the only dealership they've ever been in where both the owners sit out in the middle of the showroom and that accessible. And so part of it, how do they do that? That's part of the secret. And we work car deals. We're here to talk to customers. Whatever we need to do to take care of business.
We'll get her done. Give me the hours you're open at Champion Chevrolet.
Sales are open 8:30 to 8 Monday through Saturday. We are closed on Sundays. Service is open 7:30 in the morning till 6 in the evening, Monday through Friday, and Saturdays are open 8 to 5. We're open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at www.championjc.com. You can chat with us, email with us, call us up on the phone. Our chat line is usually open all night. So we're here to answer questions, help you buy a car. You get financing before you even come in here, worked out through our website. It's a one-stop shop.
One-stop shop. They do it and do it well. How do they do that, as they say? Quick break. Give me some taters. We'll take a break. We'll come right back. We'll talk top 5 college football next year. The Champion Chevrolet 5-star football preview.
At American Import and Auto Repair in Johnson City, one of the things that owner Tim Smith is most proud of is their hard-earned certifications.
We are an ASE Blue Seal shop, which is important because what it tells the customer is we care enough to get certified, not in one certain area of cars. You have to be certified in 8 different certifications, in 8 different tests you have to take, and you have to be updated on them yearly to make sure that you're up to date. We not only have one of those, we have 3 ASE Master Technicians here. With the ratio, it goes into a ratio, and we're a Blue Seal shop. So it tells you that we care about training and we care about knowing about your car. We want to help fix it right.
American Import and Auto Repair, West Market Street, Johnson City, home of the free loaner car program. Open 6 days a week. Call today, 913-3111.
Hi, I'm Rob Cole with Bays Mountain Park. There's something for everyone at Bays Mountain Park. Whether you're an outdoor enthusiast or simply looking to get away and relax, Bays Mountain Park in Kingsport, Tennessee is the perfect destination. For only $4 per vehicle, enjoy 3,500 acres of breathtaking scenery, featuring 40 miles of hiking trails, wildlife habitat, one of the Southeast's premier planetariums, and much, much more. For more information, please visit www.baysmountain.com or call us at 423-229-9447. Bays Mountain Park, one of the Tri-City's best places for learning, leisure, and recreation.
If you're catching some waves or just playing in the yard, it is important to protect yourself. You may not feel the sun's heat, but UV rays can still damage your skin even in cloudy weather. Blue Lizard Sunscreen, recommended by pharmacists and dermatologists nationwide. Our SPF 30-plus formulations use only the highest quality ingredients for broad-spectrum protection. As a reminder to protect yourself, our bottle turns blue when UV light is present. Blue Lizard, we've got you covered.
Your life is always changing. You never know what shape it will take, or how your financial needs might change. But if we talk about your investments and how they can provide for you and your family, the future becomes clear. At Wells Fargo Advisors, we believe conversation leads to financial clarity. Let's start a conversation today.
And we are back here at the Champion Chevrolet 5-Star Football Preview. Excited to talk about the big 5 games of the week in college football, and for that we bring in my man Carmichael. He's the guru, the expert. He's a man that knows what he's talking about. So we're looking forward to that. Carmichael, how you doing?
I'm doing great tonight. I wish I was the guru. The only thing I've been guru lately has just been a little bit of fantasy NFL football. I've done well there, but let's see how this week goes in college football.
Well, hey, yeah, let's see. Hopefully that you got some momentum, as they like to say in football. Hopefully it rolls on over to college here. We're going to take a look first at TCU and Oklahoma State. You know, there's the Big 12 as a league has been disrespected. You know, these past few years they've been left out of the college football playoff. You look at the win Oklahoma has against Ohio State earlier this year. Now you have a huge game with TCU and Oklahoma State. Obviously a marquee game in the Big 12. And what are you expecting out of these two teams this weekend?
Well, you've got Oklahoma State, who may be the most prolific offense in college football. I mean, they rolled up 59 on Pitt last weekend, and it was 45-7 in the first half. Mason Rudolph is the real deal as a Heisman candidate. Already over 1,100 yards passing and 11 touchdowns. And it's not all just about Rudolph on the offensive end. Oklahoma State's able, because he throws so well, Oklahoma State's able to run the ball, too. They're running almost at 200 yards per game at a clip. So, but it's their first real big test this season. They're 3-0. They go to TCU, who's got a win against Arkansas, an SEC opponent, and they won that game handily 28-7. Last week, they beat the Ponies of SMU, and can they score enough? I don't think you're going to slow down Oklahoma State, even though Gary Patterson's a defensive guru with Texas Christian. I don't think it's going to have to be one of these like a few years ago when they played in that big shootout they had with Baylor. They're going to have to see if they can score some points. I don't think they can. I don't think TCU can score enough to stop Oklahoma State. I think it's going to end up like Oklahoma State 38, TCU 28.
Yeah, we see a lot of shootouts in this league, and it just winds up, who can score the points. And I agree with you, Oklahoma State looking good. For so long in the state of Oklahoma, Gundy has been kind of, in the shadow of Bob Stoops. Now Stoops has stepped out of the way, and Gundy seems to have come into his own. Of course, he's got the best hair in all of college football, and he's got a good
he's
football
50.
team too.
And he's 50, and he's a man.
He's 50.
He's not just 40. He's 50, and he's a man. I mean, he's graduated from 40. Now he's 50, and he's a man. So
it's hard to believe that much time has gone by since then. But yeah, definitely a great football team there that he has. Impressive last week. We move on to USC, a team that everybody was expecting to roll over Texas. That winds up being a ball game, going to overtime there. They're able to kind of get a win and be able to pull out the victory at home there. They'd go on the road to Cal. USC last week, you know, they weren't as smooth, they weren't as good as everybody thought they were going to be, but they were able to really grind out a victory. Do you think that gives a team a lot of confidence to be able to win a game like that early in the season?
It does. If you can, I mean, and they have. Everybody thinks because they had 49 against Western Michigan, and they had 46 against Stanford. They've struggled offensively to really hit their stride, even though Sam Donald's already over 1,000 yards passing. It just doesn't look pretty. They struggled for probably 3/4 of the Central Michigan game in the beginning of the season. They have to, get a kick and win in overtime last week. So they're hoping to get their offense back on track. They're going to Cal, a tough place to play at Berkeley. Justin Wilcox, one of the 2 first-year Power 5 coaches that has started out 3-0 on the year. The other one's Jeff Brom up at Purdue. But Justin Wilcox, they've defeated North Carolina and Ole Miss. Now, while that may not be super teams, they did go on the road to win at Carolina. They did beat an SEC school in Ole Miss last week. And what's happened is they've not scored a lot of points, but their defense has been able to come up with turnovers, and that's Justin Wilcox's MO. He was a defensive coordinator down at Tennessee, and they have really found their stride defensively. Whether they can have enough this week for Southern Cal, I don't think so, but I think they'll be I think California will be impressive even in a losing effort.
The next game on your list here is one that might not have been as marquee of a game before last week, when Mississippi State was just absolutely able to take LSU apart, which I don't think anybody going into that game thought that was going to be the case, but it happened. And of course, the Georgia team that is off to a good start, despite some injury issues there, able to get a win on the road at Notre Dame. So now Mississippi State, Georgia, huge matchup this week. Who has the advantage in this one?
I think Mississippi State does. They won a big game last week beating LSU. LSU, on paper, LSU has more talent than Mississippi State. There's no doubt about it. But coaching-wise, LSU's still a very indisciplined team. Mississippi State is a very disciplined team. They Nick Fitzgerald ran the offense smoothly. He threw for 2 touchdowns, ran for 2 touchdowns. But really, Todd Gratham has made a big plus on defense this year for Mississippi State. Last year they were one of the worst defenses in all of college football. He's done an outstanding job. He has defense flying to the ball and making plays, and I think they're going to be able to do it this week with Georgia. Jake Fromm stepped in, after the injury to Jacob Eason, and Eason started practicing this week, but Fromm will still get the start. Kirby Smart's defense has played well. Can they play well enough to beat Mississippi State? I think Mississippi State wins a close one, 17-14 on Saturday.
So what would be the key? What would it take for Georgia offensively to be able to kind of make enough plays against this Mississippi State defense and get over the hump?
Nick Chubb, yep. And don't throw picks. If they can run Nick Chubb, if he can run the ball effectively against Mississippi State, can keep the clock moving. They don't make any mistakes with Fromm on offense, like throwing interceptions, because Mississippi State is looking to take advantage of those turnovers. Kirby Smart's defense is really playing well. I think they're the best defense, one of the best defenses in the SEC. I think they'll be able to slow down Mississippi State just enough, keep the ball away from them, and win the game. And Mississippi State to be able to win a tight game.
Yeah, it's the next game on the list here. Penn State, who's looked fantastic this year, hitting the road against Iowa. An Iowa team that, quite frankly, especially offensively, has struggled at times early this season. But Iowa's a tough place to go play a football game, tough place to go in and get a win. How much do you think Penn State's going to struggle on the road in this game?
I don't think they'll struggle that much, even though Iowa is a tough place to win, especially night games at Kinnick Stadium. They've beaten Michigan over the past few years. They've beaten Michigan, beaten Ohio State at night there. Penn State's only won once since moving to the Big Ten at Kinnick Stadium. So, and Iowa's a very balanced team on offense. They're grinded out. They've always, the last few years, been that kind of grinded out team. They played well defensively the first week. Josh Allen from Wyoming, who's one of the top prospects in the draft, they were able to really stymie him, keep him under control. And on the other hand, Penn State. Now, granted, Penn State's played the Little Sisters of the Poor. They've only given up 14 points so far this year, but they've not really played anyone. But Saquon Barkley, maybe the best all-around player in college football right now, one of the up-front candidates for the Heisman. He not only is able to run the ball really well, he's already got over 300 yards rushing, but he catches the ball well. He's caught 11 passes so far this year for 241 yards, 5 touchdowns, very electrifying. A lot of NFL Analysts think he could be maybe the best running back wide receiver combo in the draft this coming year. I look at Penn State, be a tough game, and they have, even though Iowa has the reputation of pulling that upset at home, I think Penn State wins the game 31-14.
I would imagine for Iowa to get the win in this game, you're going to say that the best defense against Barkley is Iowa's offense on the field, winning that ball control battle, not turning it over, able to run the ball and kind of control time of possession and limit Penn State that way. Is that the way that Iowa pulls the upset if they're able to do it?
That same way as Georgia. Can you run? Can you pound the ball? Can you keep it offense? Can you hold it? Keep it out of their hand? Iowa runs it almost as well as they pass it, and if they can just keep the ball out of Penn State's hands to keep them from making the big plays, then they've got a chance to win it. Especially, like I said, for a long time, LSU playing at Tiger Stadium at night was a lot. Most teams didn't want to go there. Well, the same thing in the Big Ten. Most teams don't want to play at Kinnick Stadium at night, and it'll be a fired up atmosphere, a great place to see a game on Saturday night. But I think Penn State's just a little bit better offensively and able to take out Iowa.
Final game here on the list is Florida at Kentucky. I mean, obviously the streak, Florida over Kentucky, is well documented. But then again, we have a Kentucky defense that's looked good all season long, going against a Florida offense that has just been, they've had a tough time putting it together. Before the fourth quarter against Tennessee, they really have had a rough time putting points on the board. How do you see this game shaking out?
I mean, the Wolves are already howling in Gainesville for Jim McElhaney. I mean, Florida is just having troubles all around moving the ball. They've thrown for less than 200 yards a game. They've run for less than 90 yards a game. Usually that's a recipe for disaster, but their defense has saved the day. And, of course, the Hail Mary last week at the end of the game. Florida has won 31 straight over Kentucky. It's the last time Kentucky beat Florida was 1986. Florida was coached by Galen Hall then. They went through a few coaches since Galen Hall. But that's the last time, and it's the longest streak in the history of the NCAA of one team with that dominance over another. I think this is Kentucky's year. I think this could be Kentucky's year to win the East right now. It lines up for them. They kept South Carolina. They're very good defensively. They kept South Carolina in check at South Carolina last week. Kentucky's efficient offensively. They can run and pass the ball fairly well. If Kentucky gets through Florida, they really have only one real they've got Georgia and Tennessee left, and right now Tennessee looks beatable, and Georgia could be as well. So this may be the game of the year. This is the biggest game in Lexington they have in over 10 years. And I think Kentucky some way pulls out a win 21-14 against Florida.
Oh, my goodness. Well, that'll be fun to watch. Definitely a lot of good football. I'm telling you, great analysis as usual. You've earned that guru status that I've bestowed upon you. You've done an excellent job this week. Carmichael, thank you very much. We'll talk to you next week.
Yes, sir. Talk to you next week.
All right, good deal. Well, folks, we're going to have a preview next of Virginia Tech's game coming up. They're playing ODU this week. We're going to go in depth on that. First, we're going to take time out. We're going to come back to the Champion Chevrolet 5-Star Football Preview.
At FCA, we're touching millions one heart at a time. Since 1954, the Fellowship of Christian Athletes has been putting the heart and soul in sports by challenging athletes and coaches to impact the world for Jesus Christ. As the largest sports ministry in the world, FCA now reaches over 2 million people annually on the professional, college, high school, junior high, and youth levels. Through this shared passion for athletics and faith, lives are changed, one heart at a time. Learn more at FCA.org.
It's Chevy Truck Month, Take 2 at Champion Chevrolet on the Motor Mile in Johnson City. The savings and selection of over 600 new Chevys to choose from are at an all-time high. 1500 All-Star Crew, $11,000 off. 1715 All-Star Double Cab, $10,000 off. 18 Equinox LT, $5,000 off. 17 Traction Traverse, $5,000 off. Shop us online 24/7 and remember our Saturday parts and service hours. Champion Chevrolet on the Motor Mile in Johnson City, where we leave you asking, how do they do that?
At American Import and Auto Repair in Johnson City, one of the 8 areas of your vehicle that takes constant continuing education is the air conditioner on your vehicle.
Well, you would think that AC would be a simple one, but it's getting to be a lot bigger than just AC. It's the management of the system, not just AC, but heat and everything. It's a lot more computer controlled than it used to be. It used to be just a little button on the dash that you pushed. Now there's all kinds of electronics involved in that. braking systems used to be fairly simple. Now, some of the newer vehicles, you have to have a computer to actually operate the braking system to make sure that it's okay after you've worked on it. Computer controlled of the engine is becoming very important. There's a lot to that. Each one of these areas, the technology is just tripled and quadrupled in the last few years. It's hard to keep up. You really need to stay in the books and know what's going on with them.
American Import Auto Repair, Johnson City, open 6 days a week. Call today at 913-3111.
From the driveways where your kids play basketball and ride their bicycles, to the parking lots at your local church or grocery store, Bracken Paving is an important part of many neighborhoods in our area. No matter how large or how small the job, Bracken strives for excellence in every service they provide. It's a foundation for a strong community. Discover the difference at Bracken Paving and Asphalt Maintenance. Give us a call or visit us online at brackenpaving.com.
Your life is always changing. You never know what shape it will take, or how your financial needs might change. But if we talk about your investments and how they can provide for you and your family, the future becomes clear. At Wells Fargo Advisors, we believe conversation leads to financial clarity. Let's start a conversation today.
We're back with the Champion 5-Star Football Preview Show, show number 5. We're in the foundation, we're in the infancy of this program. We love it inside the Cletus Green engineered and manufactured showroom or studio inside the Champion showroom here at Champion Chevrolet. Cletus, he's an nice one, ain't he?
He is a good one, and I told Chris Bird, which is our parts manager, he's the man behind Cletus, behind all this. We'd give him a shout out tonight too. We were talking about it today.
Okay.
So see, there's another brain behind all this, and we don't want to slight anybody.
So Cletus doesn't get all the credit for this.
No.
Chris Bird's behind the scenes too.
Chris Bird's behind. He's the man behind the man.
The man behind the man. There you go. See, Andy said he had the idea, but he couldn't pull it off, so he gave it to Cletus. Cletus had kind of help. He thought he could pull it off, but he called right in Chris Bird. Reinforcements.
Right. That's right.
There we go. It's the domino effect. Bottom line is, love it back here behind us. Again, the studio inside the showroom here at Champion Chevrolet. Chris, of course, works here. Your official capacity is?
The finance manager.
He be the man.
The man.
This time a year ago, it's hard to believe I've had my car for a year. This time a year ago, I went upstairs and met him for the first time and loved the interaction. We've been buddies ever since. And so he said, man, if you need somebody to do the Hokies for this show you guys are going to be doing, I'd love to be the Hokie man. He's the Hokie man. So what about Virginia Tech going to East Carolina and putting a butt whooping on them? What did we say in the break? 57 unanswered?
That's right.
Wow.
It's 17-7 at the end of the first quarter. ECU was winning, and Tech came back and scored it up to 64-17 by the end. So
that's in 3 quarters they put 57 unanswered points on the scoreboard. That kind of tells you what kind of offense. So again, obviously East Carolina was outmanned by that score, but you look at the Hokies quarterback, this guy's starting to get it together, getting in a groove, and talk about that offense for Virginia Tech.
Oh, he sure did. Everybody got to score Saturday. So, they had a big day. They really did. And Josh he was 307. He had 372 yards, and Cam Phillips he was 14 for 189. That was a Tech game record. But just a big day. A lot of those. A.J. Bush, the backup quarterback, came in and played the fourth quarter. He did well. it was just an overall effort, and everybody did really good.
So Phillips is the wideout, correct?
Yes, sir.
14 catches, 189 yards. That's a Tech record.
That's a Tech record for a game, yes, sir.
That's somebody's career.
He did a pretty good job.
Yeah,
right?
I guarantee it. So East Carolina got completely manhandled. They're a struggling football team. We knew that going into it. We talked about that this time last week. So we kind of knew that it was going to be a Tech victory if they just played their Hokie football the way they've been playing. But to put 57 unanswered in 3 quarters of football, it really shows me, they may have a little juggernaut going on up there in Blacksburg. And this week they've got Old Dominion back at Lane Stadium. I would assume on paper that's a checkbook game to kind of give them a butt whooping and send them on home. But what's the Old Dominion University Monarchs? What is the scouting report of this football team?
Well, ODU's in the same conference as ECU now. They're FBS, okay? So it's not a check game. They're coming over, and we're all used to that being kind of a smaller school, but they've just had football I think this is their 8th season. So they've came up through the ranks. They started playing some small NAIA and Division III schools, and by now they're into the tip of their schedule. They're playing big schools. This is the kind of game they wanted to be in, always wanted to be in, and they're excited about it. Their coach is Bobby Wilder. Bobby came from Maine, was an assistant coach up there for quite a number of years after he graduated. He started the program from the infancy. He's been there the whole time, and they've had a good run. They have the record for the fastest FCS school. Before they were FBS 2 years ago when they became FBS to have winning seasons, to have a record, and his overall record during the years he's been there is 67-30. That's pretty good for a program that started from scratch and didn't have anything. So he's got some pretty exciting kids there. He's got the youngest Division I quarterback in the country starting for him this week at 17 years of age. His name's Stephen Williams. He's a Wilson High graduate from D.C. Saturday, he put him in at the end of the game last week. His quarterback the 2 quarterbacks he weren't moving the ball, and he seems to think this kid's going to be a leader of this football team. So
can you imagine 17 years old Saturday afternoon running out on the field at Lane Stadium in Blacksburg, where they're crazy anyway, and just fuel to the fire that the rabid fan base and I call them the crazies, and that's a compliment because it's a very tough place to go in and play. And so this kid's 17 years old, and I guess he'll be trial by fire, won't he?
He's going to get to have one of the toughest defenses in college football to start off against. Wow. So that's going to be pretty rough on him. But I think, ODU's a starting program. They're out there in that Norfolk, Hampton Roads area. That's a place that, for years, North Carolina, Tech, they scooped everything up, NC State, Maryland. Of course, the whole country knows about it now. Mm-hmm. But now I think they're going to take advantage of that. And I think their record and what they've done so far is a statement for that. They're getting the right kids.
Talking to Chris McCall, is on the screen of Virginia Tech ODU preview. Any chance the Hokies may be looking ahead, because next week, a week from now, if everything goes as you would expect it to, as Clemson's hosting Boston College on Saturday, you got to feel like in Death Valley the Tigers, what I've seen so far with Louisville and Auburn, are going to be okay to beat Boston College, setting up the showdown, if you will, a week from Saturday at Lane Stadium when Clemson comes into battle the Hokies. Any chance the Hokies could be looking past ODU to get ready for Clemson?
You hope they're not looking past them, because this is a team that could scare somebody, I think. I mean, they're 2-1. They lost to WVU last week pretty handedly. And we all know how Tech and WVU ended up. So you don't know who's going to show up. I mean, that's like I said last week, that's why you play the game on Saturday. I read an article today that said that Tech wasn't looking ahead. Now, it's got to be hard to get up for ODU if you're at Virginia Tech, I'm sure. But the quarterback's 17 years old. There's a lot of things that are going against ODU and their and the Monarchs this weekend, but I think maybe they might have a fighting chance. That's, like I said, that's why they kick off on Saturday afternoon.
You look at the Tech schedule after this week, Old Dominion, they'll host Clemson. Then in October, they go to Boston College and back-to-back home games in October against North Carolina and Duke, with an open date in between the Boston College and North Carolina game. Then in November, pretty tough schedule to go to Miami, to Georgia Tech, back home to Pitt, and wrap things up in the Commonwealth Cup at Virginia. So a lot of football to be played. Of course, Justin Fuente, the coach of the Hokies, are saying we're taking this one first, Old Dominion. And so on paper, should be a big Tech win and get everything ready. And the showdown would be ready to go a week from Saturday when Clemson comes.
Get those Tigers, man.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Bag a Tiger, huh?
Bag them.
All right, Chris McCall again, the Virginia Tech. What do you want to leave us with the Hokies and the Old Dominion Monarchs?
That's right. Hokey, hokey, hokey high.
Hokey, hokey, hokey high. There
Go.
you go. There you go. And Chris Bird, thank you for helping Cletus, who helped Andy, who helped me. So there you go. I came up with the what can we do, and Andy said, well, I think we can do this. And Andy, next thing I know, Cletus over here with his zip ties and his, in fact, Andy had black zip ties up there. Cletus, oh, no. Got to have clear or white zip ties, PVC pipe, and some Gorilla Glue. And so Cletus and Chris Bird was in on this too.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So it's been a team effort here at Champion Chevrolet, and I look at it and go, how'd they do that? So there you go. Good stuff.
Hey, man.
Give me some taters.
Thanks, Tom.
Yes, sir. Quick break. We'll be right back. We've got more coming. We'll be talking to Kevin Harmon again. We've got him lined up ready to go talk UT football. Also, the picking panel, the 5 college football games of the week. And also, we're going to let Dave Angie jump in here and talk in a few minutes about the Big East, Region 1 6A football. Dobbins been at Alcoa. He'll break that one down. Science Hill and the Daniel Boone Trailblazers will break that one down, and the other games as well. Quick break. We'll be right back. We're live inside the studio, inside the showroom at Champion Chevrolet on the Champion Chevrolet 5-Star Football Preview Show.
American Import and Auto Repair in Johnson City takes care of both male and female customers, but owner Kim Smith says they have a special care and concern for ladies.
Being a female in what's considered a man's business, I understand the trepidation that women may have when they come to the shop. They feel like they don't know about cars, they might be intimidated, but that's not the way we do business. Everybody's treated the same. We take the time to explain anything that they have questions about, the repair, the process, the part. We want to make sure people are comfortable with what we're going to do to their vehicle and that they understand. We do cater to women in a sense. We have a real nice waiting room with nice Keurig coffee and flavored creamers, air-conditioned, cushioned seats, TV, everything a girl could want while she waits for her car to be fixed.
American Import and Auto Repair in Johnson City, open 6 days a week. Call today at 913-3111. At Bristol Orthotics and Prosthetics, they treat thousands of patients each year dealing with diabetes and its effects. Diabetes overtaking our nation and leaving a path of destruction behind. Through wound care, office visits, and preventive care, they see most of the patients after a problem arises. Using diabetic footwear such as shoes and inserts, a great way to prevent or prolong skin breakdown and amputation. At Bristol Orthotics and Prosthetics, they use only custom molds from patient mold inserts, which further ensure a great recovery, or better yet, prevents a wound from happening. They use custom molded shoes, bracing, custom inserts, and extra depth diabetic shoes to prevent wounds or other skin issues from beginning. Call today, 1-800-524-4447. 39 years, 6 locations, 1 family. Bristol Orthotics and Prosthetics, 1-800-524-4447. If you're catching some waves or just playing in the yard, it is important to protect yourself. You may not feel the sun's heat, but UV rays can still damage your skin even in cloudy weather. Blue Lizard Sunscreen, recommended by pharmacists and dermatologists nationwide. Our SPF 30-plus formulations use only the highest quality ingredients for broad spectrum protection. As a reminder to protect yourself, our bottle turns blue when UV light is present. Blue Lizard, we've got you covered.
From the driveways where your kids play basketball and ride their bicycles, to the parking lots at your local church or grocery store, Bracken Paving is an important part of many neighborhoods in our area. No matter how large or how small the job, Bracken strives for excellence in every service they provide. It's a foundation for a strong community. Discover the difference at Bracken Paving and Asphalt Maintenance. Give us a call or visit us online at brackenpaving.com.
back on the Champion 5-Star Football Preview Show. Thanks for being with us. Let's go to the phone. He's there, our buddy Kevin Harmon, with our UT preview each week. And, well, good afternoon or now good evening, my good friend. How are you?
I'm doing well, Todd Taylor. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. So I thought you were jerking my chain today. You said you're going to jump out of a skydive out of a plane today at 10,000 feet. You did that. Give me a 30-second synopsis of what you encountered today.
Well, you go through a quick training program. They strap a parachute on you or on your tandem, and you climb to 10,000 feet. You get on the airplane, you climb. I had it videoed. And you go to 10,000 feet, which is a lot higher than you think it is. When we tried to put it in perspective, we figured it was 5 Empire State Buildings stacked on top of each other.
Wow.
5 to 6. So it was, you're really high. You're in the clouds, and the moment of truth when they open the door, and you have to put your foot out on the under truss of the wing. There's a little step there, and you have to put your foot on it, and then you have to hold on to your harness, and then you lean out the door, and they go 1, 2, 3, go, and you go, and there is no coming back. And once you're over that, once you're out, you're good to go. But it's the climb to get there, to fly up to 10,000 feet. It takes about 20 minutes in a prop plane, which is what we went in. So that 20 minutes, you keep thinking, well, it'll last about an hour, and I don't have to worry about it. But 20 minutes gets there pretty quick, and especially when you're climbing in the clouds, and when you jump through and you get that opening through the clouds, and you can see the airport below you. And, once you engage that second parachute, it kind of kicks you up in the air. But they timed us. We fell at 123 miles an hour average, and we topped out at 134 miles an hour falling.
Holy
you fall 5,000 feet, then you pull your cord, and then that kicks you up, and then you just glide down, and that's the easy part. But I tell you, man, there is no feeling in the world like free falling from 10,000 feet. You just open your arms like a bird, and the wind pushes you up. And the wind pushes you in. You know which way the wind's blowing, so they put you out where it'll blow you back towards the airport. And you just open your arms and you lift your legs up and you fly. I mean, you're headed down, but you literally for 30, 40 seconds, you can just fly like a bird. And it's a really cool feeling. It's something I never thought I would ever do. And the opportunity came. I took it. And you do a lot of thinking climbing to that 10,000 foot range before you jump. You look out, you see all those small things that you see when you actually fly in a commercial airplane, and you know that you can't stop. So you take deep breaths and you just like, well, okay, I'm going to open my eyes. I'm going to make sure I see everything. I'm not going to panic. I'm going to just jump, and that's what I did.
We're talking to Kevin Harmon. That's all today. So, gosh, that's more exciting than UT-UMass preview because that shouldn't be much of a football game. And kind of no sense talking about Florida. Florida's behind us. So, UMass, what's coming? The Minutemen are coming to town 0-4. What's the story on them?
Well, they're not very good. They would be probably a 15, 17-point underdog to Indiana State. It should be, it's a game where Tennessee needs to work on some things as far as cohesiveness, and get some more experience for Dormandy, for Garantano, for the offensive line to sort of mesh together. Offensive line played very well against Florida, so did our running backs. You don't want to give Kelly too much. You'd like to see him get 100 yards to keep his average up, but you want to get those other two guys. So it's a game where we want to get as many players in. We've lost Cortez McDowell, so we need to look at the Sapp kid or Evan Berry or whoever else is going to play that linebacker position. I don't think Colt the jumper. Batuli's going to move over to the Mike. So, we have to have somebody to step up and fill that void. And I don't know if it's really ignored. I don't know. We've lost Todd Kelly Jr., so we got to get some more work for some safeties. And you got Georgia coming to town, so they need to work on a lot of things, cohesiveness things. And how to handle the pressure and checking down, and a lot of mistakes that were made at Florida. We only gave up 1 sack, we threw 3 interceptions, didn't have a great day throwing the football, but we came back and made some nice plays. So we got to build on that, and we have to. I just say go through the process to get some more game experience, especially for some of these younger guys, and you'll come away with a win, and then you got the big game with Georgia the next week. So it's just a game where you try to just work on some things and build on some things because you got a big dog coming to town, probably the East favorite in Georgia Bulldogs.
So is this an advantage?
It should be.
This is an advantage for Tennessee to have a team like UMass coming to town before Georgia. Would you want a better? You said they're like a 17-point underdog if they played Indiana State, so they got to be awful,
right?
Obviously. So, do you want, if you're Coach Jones, do you want UMass in here before Georgia? Or would you like to have a tougher opponent?
Well, I would like to have UMass personally. Georgia's got Mississippi State in Athens, I believe. The problem with that is Mississippi State just had a big win at home against LSU. They kicked LSU's tail. That's a big emotional win. These are college kids, 18, 21 years old. It's hard to come off of that and come back and then fill that tank back up and then go back out and play with that same kind of emotion, especially on the road. I don't expect Mississippi State to beat them. If they do, then Georgia's going to come in here like a wounded animal. I would rather be in our position where we're working on some things, we can get some people healthy, and then we go into our SEC schedule. Because after Georgia, we go right into the meat of the schedule with Alabama and South Carolina and those guys. So we don't get Southern Miss till later in the year. So I would rather have it like this than have a big emotional game prior to a big game with a big inside rival like Georgia. So I like our chances on that better. But Georgia can run the football very well. So, they got to deal with this Eason Fromm thing too, because Eason's back practicing now, and he's not ready to go, but he will be soon. And it's going to be interesting to see how they handle that.
Kevin Harmon with us again, the UT-UMass preview. So a big win should be for the Big Orange. Get ready for Georgia next week. He's still on an adrenaline high over the skydiving this afternoon. Great report, my friend. Keep smiling, and hey, I'll talk to you next week, all right?
Just call me Jump Harmon.
Jump Harmon. There you go.
Jump Harmon. Hey, Jump. What's up?
AK, Jump. There you go.
All right.
Appreciate you,
I'll
man.
post my video tonight. All right, brother.
Good job, man. Thank you.
All right. Bye.
Yep. Kevin Harmon again with us from the UT preview. Again, the Big Orange and as you heard him say, what should be, UMass, he said Dave Onge is probably a 17-point underdog to Indiana State. They beat them, 56-7? Is that right? Is that right? If I remember correctly. It was a smackdown, so it could be a long afternoon for the Minutemen.
What I'm understanding is if Indiana State needed a cupcake for homecoming, UMass is who they would call, right?
Yes.
Oh, my goodness.
Yep.
Yeah, it's going to be...
Much.
Well, if you're looking to get healthy, you're looking to get well, you're looking to get confidence back, UMass is the team to have coming in this week, and they're going to need some confidence, In
the show, let's do the college right now. Ride with us because, again, we were 80% last week, so that means you'd have a chance like Tony Briggs did to win $25. Again, you have until midnight tonight to go to the pick and panel and do just that. And so here you go. Here's your week number 1, Eugene Jeffers out of Greenville. Week 2, Tracy Clark from Kingsport. Last week, Tony Briggs from Watauga, Tennessee. And so you have until midnight tonight to enter for week number 4. TomTaylorSports.com/football is all you got to do, and we appreciate that very much. So, again, go there, and good luck to you. You have until midnight tonight. All we need is your first name, last name, your email address, and, of course, the picks. We're not looking for points. You can go right there on the screen. You can see the boop, boop, boop. You just kind of click on a little dot beside the team you want to win. The high school games, Alcoa at Dobbins Minute. We picked Alcoa. We picked Scienceville to beat Daniel Boone. We picked Elizabethton to beat Tennessee High. We picked Unicoi County to beat Sullivan Central. And we had Happy Valley holding off Cloudland in the high school ranks, so in the high school segment of the pick and panel. College, my friend, Florida at Kentucky. Do we like the Gators or do we like the Wildcats at home?
I never thought I would say this, but I'm going to say Kentucky. For the first time since 1986, Kentucky beats Florida in a football game. And, Steve Spurrier, Urban Meyer, they're not walking through the door. It's going to be McElwain. And from what I've seen from McElwain, he hasn't managed his football team very well. And I think Kentucky's going to be able to play enough defense to beat them.
You can pull it off. If you're Kentucky, you're 4-0. And, of course, looking ahead to the rest of the schedule, they've got Eastern Michigan next week in Lexington, Missouri in Lexington. They go to Mississippi State. They have Tennessee and Lexington on October the 28th, Halloween weekend. Then they finish up with Ole Miss at home, at Vanderbilt, and then at Georgia, and then Louisville at home for the battle of the Kentucky bragging rights of the Bluegrass State. So that's a pretty good schedule for Kentucky. They could be 4-0 if they win this thing, as we say they're going to, on Saturday. Notre Dame and Michigan State, what do you think?
That's tough right there. Michigan State, they've struggled with everybody they've played this year. They're a different football team at home. And I think, as odd as this is to say, I think that Michigan State gets the job done against Notre Dame. Do you agree with that?
Michigan State gets the job done against Notre Dame?
Yeah.
Yes, I'm taking the Spartans
you could say, okay.
in Lansing.
They're a good team at home. I think they're gonna be able to win this football game. I think Notre Dame's probably favored. We don't pick upsets often here in the show, but we're gonna pick an upset on this one.
Picking an upset. Spartans to knock off the Fighting Irish, and if they get beat, then Mr. Kelly's in real hot water.
Yes.
It's already warm. It's going to get real hot real quick.
Yep.
The natives are restless after they got beat by Georgia. And here's the thing on this show. Every week when a guy loses a big game, all of a sudden the natives are restless. Well, and we saw that with Butch Jones. You can't just go in there and clean house every single time somebody loses. You can, but am I right in saying that every time you do that, you set your program back at least 3 or 4 years? Let's say they go in and fire Butch Jones right now. They fire whoever right on the spot, Kevin Sumlin or Brett Bielema at Arkansas. He's on the hot seat, or Malzahn down at Auburn. Okay, they walk in tomorrow and fire the guy. Does that, true or false, does it or does it not set your program back to just fire somebody right now or fire them at the end of the season because it messes up all the recruiting? The new coach has got to go in and bring in, once you get one, and bring in his staff, and it's just a whole transition that sets your program back. True or false?
If you get the right person, then it's false. But more often than not, you don't get the right person. That's the thing, is you got to know who you're getting, and that's got to be somebody that is the right person, the right fit for the program. Doesn't necessarily have to be somebody that played there or coached there previously. Sometimes that helps, but we've seen a lot of great hires. You look at Urban Meyer at Ohio State, great hire. That didn't set them back. That program was in as bad a shape as they've been in a long time when Urban Meyer came in there, because you're coming off of Jim Tressel, and they had sanctions, they had everything else going on. It looked like they were going to be down for a while. I was happy about that. I would have been fine if Ohio State. It'd be nice to kick them around for a while, but as it happened, Urban Meyer came in. He's the right guy, So I think if you're a program, there's too many programs that try to get just enough money together to fire their coach and pay him off, but they don't get that extra money to say, okay, let's bring in somebody that's going to be able to do, just not skip a beat. So that's the key to it. The programs that do that and hire well, they manage not to miss a beat, but there's a fine art to that. It's tough to do.
Penn State at Iowa, another game on the picking panel. Are we taking the Nittany Lions or the Hawkeyes? And I've said since I saw the schedule, tough place to go in and win in Iowa. I think it's Ames where it's at. Is it Ames, Iowa, where they play Iowa?
Yeah, it's Iowa. Kinnick Stadium. They're going to be playing at night, which is tough to go into Kinnick Stadium and win at night. But I'm going with my football guru, Carmichael. Carmichael's telling me Penn State's going to win that football game, and I got confidence. He had something in his voice. I heard it.
Action.
There's something in his voice. He knew something, and I think Penn State, and just the offense they have, and Barkley, what a great running back Barkley is. I think he's the difference. I think they win the ball game.
Mississippi State at Georgia. Tough one between the hedges. Tennessee fans, of course, pulling for Mississippi State because Georgia's the next opponent up, and they're in the SEC East, of course. But Bulldogs or Mississippi State?
It's hard to tell right now how good LSU was. You look at that game and Mississippi State wins, so now all of a sudden, are we overvaluing Mississippi State a little bit? I do know Georgia went in and won at Notre Dame, and I do know that's a pretty impressive feat to pull off. I'm going to go with Georgia in this game by the slimmest of margins. I think Mississippi State might have been reading the press clippings this week after that LSU win, and I have a feeling LSU's in worse shape than people think. It just seems like a program that is not – there's just kind of a little bit of a lack of discipline right now, even though they've got a lot of talented players on the field. I think that showed itself in that game. I think Georgia showed themselves to be a very steady hand when they went up there and got a win at Notre Dame, so I'm picking the Bulldogs.
Yes, I'm right there with you. Speaking of LSU, their star running back is not playing this week in Syracuse.
Yep.
That would be – this one totally blank.
I know who you're talking about. Yeah, they would have to –
Guice.
Yeah, they would have to leave a lot of players sitting in the locker room to lose to Syracuse. So LSU will get well. It's a good week to teach a guy a lesson because Syracuse is not very good. So
I almost said Leonard Fournette, but he's doing very well in the
He
NFL
is.
already. Last one, two coaches desperately looking for a win. They're on the hot seat with their fan base. Arkansas at Texas A&M. This is a neutral site. They're playing this at Cowboy Stadium in Arlington. You got the Aggies. You got Arkansas.
Oh my goodness, yeah, this is a tough game to call. You know, you got my man Brett Bielema over there at Arkansas, and you know, I always have kind of liked him, so I'm going to hate to see him get fired. But I think Kevin Sumlin and Texas A&M get it done this week. Just have a little bit more talent. I think they'll bounce back and get the win. And you know, Arkansas is going to go looking. I don't know who they're going to hire, but they might be one of the next teams up looking for a coach.
There's your pick and panel. You can take it to the bank. Again, right along right with us. Again, put your entries in. Kentucky, Michigan State, Penn State, Georgia, and Texas A&M are the winners. We've got here Dave and I, the two-headed monster. And again, all you got to do is go right here to the pick and panel. Again, TomTaylorSports.com/football, and that's all you got to do. And from there, you can put your name in the hat and get a good chance to win yourself, again, $25. Big East football, again, Region 1 6A. Let's run down the standings for you before Dave jumps in and gives us his take on the ball games. You have Knox Farragut, Science Hill at 2-0. Then you have a 1-0. You've got the Hardin Valley Hawks, Knox Bearden 1-1. Dobbins Vineyard at 0-1 in conference play. And then you have in the cellar Moorestown West and Jefferson County. So here we go. Let's take a look at the two local teams, and let's do that first. And let's take a look at Alcoa at Dobbins Vineyard, and also out of the Big East, you've got Science Hill traveling to Daniel Boone. First DB hosting Alcoa. What do you think?
Yeah, that's a tough game for Dobbins Bennett. The one thing I think that gives Dobbins Bennett a chance in this game is, you know, I've seen it before. You give Graham Clark an extra week to prepare. You know, he's a master of game plans. You know, I saw him one year, it's been a few years back now, when a Science Hill team went over there into J-Fred, and everybody said, you know what, this is the year Science Hill really paced them, you know, by about three, 4 touchdowns. And I'm telling you, Science Hill needed a late field goal to win that deal. A late field goal and an interception, because Graham found a way to line up and run it on a Science Hill team that hadn't been run on all year. You know, so I'm going to give him his credit before I turn the tables on this thing and say, man, Alcoa, you know, they go in there and they play within 4 points of Maryville. And it took Maryville some really big plays, you know, a couple 80-yard touchdown passes in order to pull off that victory. So I think what DB is going to be dealing with is a very tough football team from the Knoxville area that's going to be a little bit too much for them, and I think Alcoa gets the win.
Alcoa, we got them taking the win at J. Fred Johnson Stadium tomorrow night. In gray, Daniel Boone hosting the Science Hill Hilltoppers, ranked in the state again this week, as is Daniel Boone. How do you like that one in gray tomorrow night?
I'll tell you, you know, it's one of those deals where I think Daniel Boone feels like if Noah Shelton, their quarterback, had stayed healthy for the entire game against Science Hill last year, they would have won that game. You know, they're up 14-0 at halftime. Of course, Shelton suffers a concussion in that game and has to miss most of the second half. And while Science Hill comes back and scores a 19-14 victory. You know, so Boone, you know, they're going to have a chip on their shoulder for this game. They're going to be at home. It's a tough place to play. You know, Science Hill, I think, remembers that game last year as well, and they want to come out. Their line especially, which has been good all year offensively and defensively, they want to push Boone around to show that last year was kind of a fluke. I think they'll be motivated, and I think the playmakers, we talked about a little bit earlier in the show, just a lot of speed for Science Hill in a lot of areas. Science Hill can execute. They should win this football game, and I would expect them to do that.
It is a non-conference week, the last non-conference week of the season. It's hard to believe we're past the halfway point. Everything from here on in will be conference head-to-head. So tomorrow night, Big East Conference, you see Jefferson County going to William Blount to battle the Governors. Do you like the Patriots on the road or William Blount at home?
You know, it's Jeff County has struggled this year, you know, at times, and you know, I really look at this ball game and I see Jeff County picking up the win this week. You know, and it's a week for them to get healthy. You know, they're 3-2 right now, but they've played a tough schedule. They've played some tough teams. I think their defense has shown, you know, acquitted itself very well. You know, even though they've pretty much run the gauntlet early in the season of some tough opponents. You know, William Blount is a good team to go get healthy against. I think Jeff County is going to pick up the win.
The Bearden Bulldogs are at home tomorrow night against CAK. What's your take on Bearden? It's 3-2. Can they win it?
Bearden last week, tough loss at Science Hill. They ran up against a team I think that was a little bit faster, did things a little bit better than what they did, and that was the difference in the ball game. They get healthy as well. CAK struggling this year so far. I think Bearden really is a team that you're going to see get better week by week. If you're Science Hill, you're glad you caught them early in the season, because I think they're going to get better, and they're going to start getting better this week. I think they get a win to move to 4-2 overall.
Farragut, fourth in the state at 5-0. They're going to get ready for Science Hill a week from Friday night. Again, a battle for probably the conference championship for the Region 1 6A. That's next Friday night. So tomorrow night, Knox West, will they be looking ahead, or the Admirals can take care of business?
Yeah, they're going to take care of business. This is a solid football team. They've played a tough schedule. Knox West, I'll have to look back, but I think Knox West might be kind of the weakest team on their schedule to date, and I think it's going to show. I think Farragut's going to win this game, win it handily, and take a lot of momentum into that Science Hill game, which will be one to watch.
Last one, the Morristown West Trojans will be in Rogersville to battle the Cherokee Chiefs. Morristown West or Cherokee?
You look at Cherokee 3-2. You look at Morristown West 1-3. But man, Morristown West has played everybody. You look at that 1-3 record. There's a loss to Greenville in there. They've played tough football teams, and I think this is the week they go get well. They're going to get some confidence. I think they have a big win over Cherokee. I don't think it's just going to be a victory. I think it's going to be one where they win by 2-3 touchdowns and maybe turn their season around a little bit. Maybe make a run down the stretch.
That's a wrap for this week. In week number 5, our big guest, we thank, of course, Andy Dietrich, co-owner of Champion Chevrolet. Also, Carmichael with the top 5 college football previews. These shows, by the way, go back and watch and listen to us. These are recorded and they're archived. You go back and watch and enjoy them tomorrow morning, tomorrow evening, whenever. Kevin Harmon with the UT preview, Joe Avento with the preview of the East Tennessee State Mercer game, David Carmichael, as we told you, with the top 5 college football preview, Chris McCall, the Hokies and ODU preview, Doug Fritz and the high school picks, and our buddy just now co-hosted the show, again, our dear friend, again, my man, Dave Onge, talking about the Big East and just being the co-host of the show. Good job, man. Appreciate you.
Hey, wonderful. Yeah, and anybody, if you're just tuning in, you're like, man, I missed all that cool stuff. This could be archived. Go in there tomorrow morning. I give you permission. Your boss may not like it. Go in there and watch, get caught up. Find out what's going to happen tomorrow night. Find out what's going to happen Saturday. A lot of good information in there, so be sure to go check it out.
Like it and share it. We appreciate that very much. And again, of course, thanks to Andy Dietrich and Tim Covenhaver and all the folks here, and Cletus, who built the studio in the showroom here at Champion Chevrolet. He is a multi-talented young man, Cletus Green. We're out of time. We sincerely thank you for yours. For Dave Onge, this is Tom Taylor telling you, as always, win or lose, be a good sport. See you next week at 6 o'clock right here for the Champion Chevrolet 5-Star Preview Show. So long, everybody.